Hello everyone and welcome to my bonus episode with which I am capping off my park building series for recreating the original Jurassic Park in Jurassic World Evolution. If you enjoyed this park building series, please leave a like and a comment down below and subscribe to the channel for more. Don't forget about the giveaway, only a little more than a week left until I will pick 2 random winners, so check out the video description on how you can enter. Now in this video I did make some shortcuts just to keep it from being too long, from dragging on too long. I've made some changes to the park based on your suggestions and also things that I thought of after the fact. So yeah, that's why I went back in and I corrected the park a little bit, and it turned out to be about 40 minutes of work, which I did all record, but to keep it from becoming the longest episode in the series, I made some cuts to just show you the highlights, if you will. One of the changes I'm going to keep under wraps, and I'm going to reveal that in the tour video, which I will upload tomorrow. Tomorrow is Tour Tuesday after all. That seemed only fitting. So I'll hope you'll join me for the tour of the original Jurassic Park, so I can drive you around in the Ford Explorer, and also of course we're going to hop into the Jeep and follow Nedry's route through the park and stuff like that. Now, for Tour Tuesday, I'm not forgetting about my African park, so I will be uploading 2 videos tomorrow showing 2 different parks, this one and the African park that you voted on my community tab, so don't worry about that. So we saw me making some changes already. I've dealt with the pachycephalosaurus. I am also adding some other dinosaurs as well. What I'm doing, or what I've decided to do, is follow the Jurassic Park brochure for adding the dinosaurs. It was really difficult to find a consensus on which dinosaurs were supposed to be in the park, and I figured following the Jurassic Park brochure was the safest bet. And you know, the idea behind this park is that it's what Jurassic Park was going to be after Nedry screwed it up for everyone. So I'm just imagining we are in an alternate timeline in which Jurassic Park got rebuilt after the hurricane and after Nedry's betrayal, and it was developed into the park that it was always supposed to be. So what I'm doing right now is I'm taking a detour with the Ford Explorer tour track, because I realized that it didn't go through the Gallimimus and the Brachiosaurus exhibit. Now, we don't actually see it going through these 2 exhibits in the movie, but it doesn't make sense that it wouldn't. And even though I'm not necessarily happy with how it looks, I don't like the track coming through that exhibit. It makes it look less clean, but it wouldn't make sense for the tour not to go through those 2 exhibits. And also, in pretty much every Jurassic Park map that you can find online, the tour does go through these 2 exhibits, so I figured it was the only right way to go. And as I keep saying, you have to make compromises when you're recreating Jurassic Park in this game, so this was one of the compromises. It doesn't look as good, but it makes sense. I just made a bit of a cut right there. That's because I spent a long time trying to fiddle with how I'm going to fit this tour track back out through the perimeter fence. I didn't want it to be too close to where I imagine the spot is where Alan, Lex, and Tim are climbing over the fence, where Tim gets electrocuted. So, you know, it was a bit of a puzzle trying to get it out. I just sold my pachycephalosaurus, so they are being picked up by the transportation team. Also, what I'm trying to do here, but alas to no avail, is bringing in the grass texture on the track. Unfortunately, that doesn't work. You can lay down any other kind of texture under the track, but if you just do grass, then that kind of dirt texture will show anyway. And yeah, that's one of the reasons why I wasn't too happy with having the track come through that exhibit. But I've made my peace with it. I'm leaving it. This is how it's gonna be. I actually do make another change to this tour track in a little bit. I'm not sure if I'm gonna get to it quite yet, But yeah, I'm not done yet. I'm not done fiddling with all of this kind of stuff, trying to perfect it. So this is where I imagine Tim, Lex, and Alan are climbing over, and where Tim got electrocuted, just because it's a perimeter fence close to the visitor center. And obviously, they arrive at the visitor center very shortly after that scene. And the previous dinosaur encounter was with the Gallimimus, so that's why I chose that location for it. Just flying through the park, checking things. Did I start selling my pachycephalosaurus? No, I did not. There you go. Yeah, sorry, buddies. You gotta go. You gotta go. You were not in the brochure, so gotta be strict about something, right? Another dinosaur that was in the brochure, here you go, is the Herrerasaurus. I also bred another batch of Gallimimus to add to the herd, and 2 more Triceratops. So our sick Triceratops has a couple of buddies. She won't be lonely anymore. And the Herrerasaurus are going to get their own exhibit right by the Sigisaurus exhibit. So to enable that, I'm going to move some stuff around. But first, what I'm going to do, as I'm doing right now, is I'm moving up the location of Nedry's crash just a little bit. I'm bringing the fork in the road closer to the ledge where he gets stuck on. Because in the movie we see that he actually picks up the sign that he knocked over. So the sign has to be placed closer to where the Jeep gets stuck in the end. Before I had it back quite a bit. And I mean, it is possible that he dragged it along with the Jeep, but I don't know. I like it better being a little bit closer to that point. So that's really all I'm doing here. Just redoing this part of the park, but moving it up just a little bit. During this park build is basically the entire build is like trying to find a marriage of my perfectionism with my acceptance that it's not going to be quite like the movie. Part of that is due to my own damn fault. I mean, I really don't want to get bogged down in researching stuff. I don't necessarily like recreating stuff. I like making my own original stuff. So, you know, it was trying to find a blend of what would make me happy with the end result, but also make me happy with the process, and what would make you guys happy, because I know you guys really want this to be as accurate as possible. So it was a juggling act, and I hope I succeeded to some extent, that not all of my balls are on the floor. Want my balls in the air. Okay, let's stop talking about balls and just focus on the actual build. Oh, here the Tor comes along. So yeah, Nedry's path does cross over the Tor tracks in my interpretation of it. There was just no way around that. What am I doing next? As you saw, there was a bit of a cut there. So in this part, I'm going to make room for the Herrerasaurus exhibit. So I'm just making this loop of the Ford Explorer tours a bit bigger so I can fit an exhibit in there. And I'm also moving the track closer to the Sigisaurus fencing, just so we get a nice tight alleyway between the 2 exhibits, between the Sigisaurus exhibit and the Herrerasaurus exhibit. I also did the exact same thing between the Dilophosaurus exhibit and the Proceratosaurus exhibit, and I just really like that enclosed feeling it creates. It feels a little bit claustrophobic to go through there and have these tall fences on either side, and especially knowing what is beyond those 2 fences and having thick foliage on either side, branches reaching over. It feels really closed in and kind of creepy, and that's sort of what I was going for here. That's actually that makes me think of the short story that I wrote for Jurassic Park. Oh, good times. I'm not gonna continue talking about that. But that actually, I did enjoy writing a scene in an alleyway that I'm creating right now. That's all I'll say. I'll leave my embarrassing adventures be a mystery. Let's put it that way. I was having trouble with words. So I'm just following the track line with the fences, getting it pretty close so the vehicles have a nice view into the exhibit. Obviously, what's kind of a theme for Jurassic Park was that none of the dinosaurs are actually visible when you're in the cars. I think that's pretty funny and also pretty realistic. So that's something that is mostly accomplished through having a lot of trees in there, so going nicely overboard with the tree tool. I added a gate there. It wasn't really necessary. I figured, you know, people need to get into that exhibit for maintenance or whatever. Bring in a big tree because we love the big tree. Yeah, and other than that, I don't really do that much to the Herrerasaurus exhibit. I mean, the terrain was already designed a little bit. It was just open space before, useless, wasted space, but, you know, I added a bit of flair to it already. So I'm just adding more trees to make it look more like, to make it look more mysterious. So every time I'm sort of, you see me do this a lot, I'm pausing and actually trying to get a view of what guests would see from the actual vehicle, and that just informs how I designed the exhibit. Normally you'd want a nice view into an exhibit, but like I just said, kind of the running gag in Jurassic Park is that it's not really an efficient way to view dinosaurs by just going by the fences in a car, and I just thought that was funny. So that's why the exhibits are quite full with trees as opposed to really open and allowing you to see everything. So this what I meant with that kind of claustrophobic alleyway, and I really like how that looks. I really wish that you could bring the trees closer to the fences so they'd really grow over the fence and over the track, but you know, it's another point where you just have to accept the limitations of the game. There you go, made another cut. I'm just going to make some finishing touches to the Nedry death scene, crime scene area. That's what I'm doing right now, you know, obscuring the tour track, making sure that that's hidden away, adding some more rocks and stuff, just making it look a little bit more real and natural by adding more details. And that's really always the key to making anything look good, is just add details. So when in doubt, place a rock. That's basically the tip I'm giving you here. Oh, just the tip. I really like that one tree there, by the way. That's such a dumb thing, but I can really imagine him walking down there, looping the rope around the tree. That's funny. So what I figured here, since this is where the surface road breaks away from the tour track to go towards the East Dock, so I figured I should add a sign for that, and really any excuse to use those adorable nostalgic signs is good enough for me. There's another one, and that will be, you know, the path towards the East Dock. Of course, I don't really have the East Dock in my park. I'm just imagining that it's right beyond the buildable area. Even though that entire area is landlocked. Just, you know, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. And suspend your disbelief. Placing more of the Triceratops and now the Herrerasaurus. There they go. Herrerasaurus is one of my favorite dinosaurs, so I was actually pretty happy that I got to add these guys into the park. People had been requesting them, or recommending them rather, and yeah, I was happy to add these guys, and I hope you don't get mad at me for using the Jurassic Park brochure as a reference for the dinosaur roster. I had to pick a source. I know there was also the list from the Dinosaur Protection Group, but I felt like this was just the safest bet. It just felt more authentic to use one of the original Jurassic Park things as a reference than using some after the fact marketing ploy for Jurassic World, or Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom rather. Just I don't know, when in doubt, plays rock. When in doubt, go for the original. That's all there is to it. This is another surface road, sort of goes around that big old rock in the middle. So when we go south, we go to the visitor center. Actually, that would be north, because I'm reversed. So right now to the left is visitor center, to the right is the east dock, and behind us is the helipad. So I'm adding more of those cute little signs. And I actually noticed something interesting when I was placing these signs. I had to do two, you know, one pointing to the east dock and one pointing to the visitor center. And what I am just about to realize is that this is the only thing in the game that can actually clip together. Not entirely, you can place them over each other all the way. The poles do have their hitboxes, but you can get them so close that the actual signs overlap a little bit. And I think that looks better than placing them a bigger distance apart. So that's what I did there, and I'm going to repeat the same thing for this sign, just because I really liked how it looked, and it makes sense to have directions for both ways. But I thought that was really nice. I was pleasantly surprised that that was possible. I'm really hoping that in the future they will make it possible to overlap the rocks so we can make unique rock formations. Just an FYI.
Transportation complete.
And through the magic of editing, we are at the raptor bunker. That's not really an accurate description, but this is the... Actually, it's the maintenance shed. I'm sorry. It's the maintenance shed where Ellie Sattler goes to reboot the system. And what we see in the movie is there's actually, I think it's a chain link fence, but there's some sort of fencing with a door around the bunker. So that's what I wanted to recreate with the light cable fence. I'm placing it too close to the bunker this time because there is a trick for getting a really small part of fence, and that is by attaching a gate to it. The gate basically makes it a separate piece of fence, so when you delete the gate, you can then delete the fence that the gate was on, and you're left with this little tiny piece of fence. And that's what I'm trying to create here, but I need to keep more distance from the building. So there you go. I think I'm gonna redo it one more time because it's not going to be centered now. Let's see what happens. Yeah, angling down. So yeah, if I were to center it, it's going to be a really big gap. So that's why I'm gonna go ahead and delete this fence and replace it a little bit more to the right. Trying to get the angle right. There we go. So now we're going to place a gate, as I said. And we're going to leave just a little bit of fencing right in front of the bunker door. There you go. Now we're going to create the rest of the fencing around the bunker, or maintenance shed, officially. Gonna make a couple of errors in measurement when I'm doing this. I was trying to get it as close to the building as possible, but obviously that means that a couple of times there you go, you're gonna be too close and you're going to get that that very frustrating red circle around the building. But you know, if you're patient, good things come to those who wait. I'm just full of wisdom today. I'm gonna get this one wrong a couple of times as well. There you go, second time's a charm. So what I'm gonna do now is delete the gate, then delete, attach the fence, delete that part, and now we can delete that little tiny piece of fence in the middle, and that's where the door would be. Of course we can't add a door, but I thought that was it was a nice touch. I think it makes it look a little bit better. Feel free to disagree with me in the comments, but I liked it. Just a little bit of a nod, putting in a little bit of extra legwork. So here we have a quick overview of the park with the tour track and the way the fences are laid out. Pretty happy with it. I'm going to make one change to this, and that is I'm going to force the Metricanthosaurus to move over to the right side of the sickle-shaped exhibit, and then I'm going to use the left side for Velociraptors. It's ill-advised, but I just don't think a Jurassic Park is complete without the original Velociraptors, and you know, since they look so good nowadays, I want to use more of them. So I had these signs on either side of the track for the Brachiosaurus and the Parasaurolophus, and that prevented me from deleting the track, so got rid of the signs, then I could delete the track. And going to relay a bit of it so it goes by what is going to be the raptor exhibit. That's what I'm doing over here. There was just this narrow stretch between two fences, and I figured I might as well put it to use by letting the tour track come through there. Now this terrain is a little bit awkward, so I'm just leveling it out a bit. And of course, smoothing. Love it when it's smooth. Actually, I love it when it's rocky. No. Okay, so I think what I actually did was I had the rangers come over and shoot the Metricanthosaurus in its eyeball to get it to move it over to the other side, but by the time the rangers had tranquilized it, it had already moved over to the other side on its own accord, so you know, that was a whole unnecessary ordeal, but whatever. So I ended up splitting that exhibit into two so I could add my raptors to that. Just because I wanted to. There's really no logic behind it. I mean, logically, no sane person would reintroduce raptors to a dinosaur theme park after what happened during the events that transpired during the movie. But, you know, whatever sells tickets, right? Drama sells ticket, and there's nothing more dramatic than murderous turkeys. So we're almost at the end of the video. I hope you'll join me for the tour, which will go up tomorrow. And until then, thank you so much for watching, and enjoy the game.